Okay, welcome back. So now we have our high poly barrel all textured and ready to go, and we have our low poly barrel, and now we want to just apply the texture onto that low poly barrel. Now just before I go any further, I'm just going to make a couple of very slight adjustments to the barrel itself. I'm just going to grab this top face. I'm just going to move it up a little bit so it's not intersecting with the high poly, and I'll just do the same on the bottom just to make sure it's really not intersecting. And I also have this ring of edges at the top that are intersecting quite a bit. I'm just going to select all of those, just move them up a little bit. Now in looking around this, I can also see that this low poly ring here and this one here don't really match the high poly very well. All the other ones seem to match them pretty good. This one is a little bit off too. So I'm also going to grab these and just move them up a little bit. I'll also grab this one and move this up a little bit too. And let's move up to the top again. Grab this one and this one. Move them down a little bit. I'm just going to rotate them to match the high poly. And I should point out the reason I'm doing this is the closer your low poly matches your high poly, the less likely it is you're going to get errors on your bakes. So let's move that to about there. Rotate this around a little bit to match. Maybe just move this up just a touch. Okay, and we'll do the same on this top one. Get that to about there. Get this round a little bit. And again, we'll do the same here. So we'll move that to about there. And again, rotate this just slightly. Now, I don't expect it to be absolutely perfect, but it's definitely better than it was before. Now, in these long, expansive areas here, we could probably bow this out just a little bit more. I think that's a little bit better. Now, there's no need to really redo the UV unwrap. It's not 100% necessary, but I think I'll do it anyway. So let's just select all. And again, just hit unwrap. We've not actually used that low poly unwrap on any of the other processes we've done, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's go back to object mode. Now we can actually start baking our maps. So in this video I'm going to bake the diffuse map. So we have our maps on our high poly objects already. Let's add a shader to our low poly object. We'll use a principled shader, and I want to also add in an image texture. This is where we're going to store the diffuse shader. First of all, we need to actually create a template for that diffuse shader. Let's go to our UV image editor, close down these panels, we'll hit new, and we'll call this barrel low diffuse. I'm going to render this out at 1K. I'm just going to hit OK. Now this just comes in totally black, and we'll select it over here in the image texture again. The thumbnail comes in as black, and we'll just connect this colour up to our base colour. Just taking a moment to update for some reason. There we go, and we have this image texture highlighted. This is a highlighted node in this node group. Now what we want to do is click on our high poly object. Got 3 of them, so I'm going to shift click on all of them, and I'm going to shift click on barrel low. I'll go to my render panel, go all the way down to bake, and instead of combined we want to bake the diffuse. We're also going to turn off direct and indirect light, so only the colour is going to be transferred, and we're going to click selected to active. Now this margin setting you can have on or off if you like. I'm just going to leave it at default. Same with cage and ray distance. And I'm just going to click bake. Now we get a little warning at the top there, no active image found in material slot. So what's happened here is I've not actually really selected this. Let's make sure that is selected this time. Definitely in there. And again, let's just click bake. This time the texture, the little render bar is actually there. It'll give you a time elapsed and remaining time, etc. It's actually going to run through this 4 times. It's going to run through rendering out the diffuse textures for each of the high poly objects, and then once to transfer it over to the low poly object. So I'll just pause the video and we'll skip straight to that point. Okay, so that's now textured out and it's baked onto our low poly UV template. So you can see it's actually pretty low poly. Obviously we're taking 3 2K textures and squeezing them down onto one 1K texture, so obviously it's not going to be as high quality. Let's just check this out over here in our render view. So I'm going to isolate the low poly object and go to render. And you can see only with 32 samples it's very, very fast, and we can orbit around this mesh. And you can see just how fast that's rendering out and how these different textures are actually working out pretty good. It actually looks quite nice. The textures seem to be in the right spots on all this geometry. I think fixing these rings was definitely a good idea because it seems to match a lot better than you might think. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Everything seems to be working pretty good here. So let's look at this from the front view. Now the only thing missing from this is we don't have any roughness, we don't have metallic maps, we don't have height or normal maps. Once they are all included, this is going to look so much better. It's going to be practically identical to the high poly version. Okay, so just a final thought before we finish this video. It's always good practice to make sure you save these images. So in the moment you can see that after image we have this little asterisk. That pretty much means this hasn't been saved. So I'm going to go to, now what I want to do is save this image. So I'm going to save as image. And I'm going to go across to final object. So this is where I'm going to save my diffuse. I'll also have a bunch of images in here for the high poly lamp object, which I never bothered doing a low poly version of. But I'm going to save the barrel texture in here. I'm just going to save this as, again, PNG. We'll just keep it as an 8-bit this time, and we might as well just keep the 15% compression. So let's just save as image. So that's now saved in this file. I'm also going to click F to make sure there's a fake user, and then I'm going to close this down.